Now, let's talk about best countries according to me, or some of the best countries you can study in 2025. Please remember that these countries, I'm just putting them out here for research purposes or for you who is looking for opportunities to jackpot. But remember that some are also very expensive. Some may be affordable, some may be expensive to you and affordable to another person. But again, moving abroad depends on a variety of factors, and it depends also on your academic goals, maybe the language proficiency, what type of language are you looking for, what do you want to study, and also on personal preferences. Some of us are not jackpotting just because we want to always study and of course get a degree, right? You all know that's what moving abroad is all about. But there are some countries here I'm going to suggest to you, and I want you to take a deep look into them. Remember, my goal is to make sure that everybody jackpot, all right, or is able to move abroad, to those who are not from Nigeria or Cameroon. But you should also understand that some of these countries, your chances of going in may be very slim, depending on what you are looking for and also depending on finance. Country number one, the United States of America. If you really want to move to the US, please pay attention to certain details and remember that in the US you can equally study for free. This is something many people do not know, and I'm here to say it loud. You can study in US for free on a fully funded scholarship, but there is a lot of work involved. This is not for people who are weak. Why did I say so? Because you need to start by looking for the universities and looking and checking equally if they have the scholarships you are looking for and the programs you want to study, then proceeding to the university's website to actually see if that department you really want to study in have some research they are doing. Then or after that, you now start sending cold emails to the necessary maybe coordinators, maybe supervisors, maybe departmental heads to know if there is a possibility for you to work with them, asking them if they have a chance or a space in their lab, and then the communication moves on. After that, you drop your application. Otherwise, you are going to apply to schools that you can fund yourself. Please always remember this. Like I've said, this thing I'm telling you, I tried it in 2023. It didn't work out. And instead of me wasting time, boom, I jackpot to the Netherlands. So please, put in the work, try your luck, do your best, and also open your tentacles, right? Because I have always said, widen your space. In fact, you don't need to be on the same spot. Apply to many areas. Now, also remember that if you are looking for things like innovation and research fields like technology, US is also a better option for you. And in the United States, you are only going to focus on English language. There is nothing like Dutch, like in my country, the Netherlands, right? You are only going to study in English language, and equally you should not forget, please don't forget this. Tuition fee is very high. In case you don't get a fully funded scholarship or maybe something partial scholarship, you have to pay from your pockets. Another question you should ask yourself, do I have the money to pay the tuition from my pocket? So these are some of the things you should consider. Country number two you should look out for in 2025 is the United Kingdom. Now, remember, the UK is one of the most expensive countries in the world to study in. And one thing I also want you to understand, which is more or less like an advantage, is in the UK, you are only going to study in English. Living cost is very high. Accommodation in the UK is very high. And of course, especially in the capital cities like London and places. But understand that in the UK, there are top ranked universities, but the problem is only the living cost, which is very high. But again, you have to look at your budget, look at your pocket, and see what it is, okay? Like I said, UK is country number two. Let's go to country number three, which is Germany. And for Germany, remember, let me start by saying that German schools are free of charge. Some are free. Some you will study in the German language, some you study in English language. But you need to know that the application is not the same across all institutions. Because even right now, as I'm talking to you, some universities have introduced tuition fee. But again, Germany is a great country, especially if you're looking for engineering, technology, and so many science courses in English. German is usually maybe a language at bachelor's level, which means that if you want to study a bachelor's degree in Germany, you would probably have to apply for a school, study the language. Then, after you finish the language, you can now apply for the bachelor's degree programs, which is going to be taught in the German language. Please do not forget this, because many people will be like, Milton, someone said I cannot study in Germany because I cannot speak the language. No, it is only compulsory for those who are going for bachelors. Even at that, there are still universities in Germany that you can study in English, right? I mean bachelor's level in English, but you must have IELTS. If you want to go to Germany and study anything bachelor's, like, you should try, if you are going to be studying the program in English, try and make sure that you have IELTS. Otherwise, get your language test done, you get the necessary grades, then Germany is a very strong country in the European Union, okay? Then the next country I want to talk about is Canada. And of course, Canada is also a very good country, though English and French is being spoken. And looking at the data now, Canada is also encouraging internationals who can speak French. Those who are doing express entry, they know what I'm talking about. So you should look at Canada, but of course, it's also possible. Remember, all these countries I'm talking about, I think Canada is the easiest to get PR and citizenship. Within 5 years, you can get it. Though the laws have changed now, but UK is going to take you more than that, US more than that, and a whole lot of stuff that you need to understand. Please, if you have the money and you think you can try these countries I just gave you, try them. Now, let's continue with the other countries I haven't mentioned. Australia. Australia is also an English-speaking country. So if you're in Australia and you're targeting PR and citizenship, just know that you do not need anything like the language. Maybe the Dutch language, the French language, whatever language. You don't need it in Australia. Okay, but you must understand that the tuition fee in Australia can touch the skyscrapers. Your tuition fee is so huge that you already know what I mean. Now, another thing I want to add to those who are going to Australia on visit visa is you cannot change it again to student visa. The procedure is no more existing. In fact, that particular method doesn't exist anymore. I'm just saying it so in case somebody is fooling you and telling you things otherwise, please, you should know Australia is a good place to study, to settle down. And if you are looking for some things related to marine biology, environmental science, and of course social sciences, Australia should be a best bet for you. Now, another country is the Netherlands. The Netherlands, of course, is also a good destination to study. The Dutch people are excellent, very good people. And of course, if you are looking for things related to maybe business fields, international relations, engineering, you have to be targeting the Netherlands. Also, don't forget that I live in the Netherlands and tuition fee here is very, very expensive. And you pay the tuition upon getting admissions, and the university is the one to apply for your visa. Consider the Dutch language, because without the Dutch language, you cannot get naturalization in 5 years. Naturalization means that you get a passport. You must not get PR here. It's not needed. 4 to 5 years, you are good to go, and without any crimes, you are not owing anybody, you haven't committed any crime or anything. But the Dutch language is an essential factor to actually get you this going. Another country we should talk about is Sweden, and the main language in Sweden is Swedish. Now, this is to my people who are applying. Application is going to close on the 15th. Is it the 15th of January? Then document submission deadline should be like February. I can't remember, except you check again. One thing you should know is that Sweden has very top universities, like advanced, like good universities. Sweden have that. But another thing you should know is tuition fee is very expensive, guys. Very, very expensive. Don't even think that Sweden is cheap. No, Sweden is not that tough. If you look at the Swedish admissions.se website, look at the programs and look at their tuition fee, especially those that have 90 credits and above, you will know that Sweden is very expensive. 3.54 million for tuition deposit is not an easy thing. So you should know that Sweden is a very good place and also a center for tourist attraction. And in Sweden, they speak Swedish. Then let's go now to talk about, like I said, cost of living is basically higher in Sweden as well. Same like the Netherlands. Now, the next country is Switzerland. And with Switzerland, if you are looking at hospitality, you are looking at maybe the tourism sector, please apply to Switzerland. Remember, they speak 3 or 4 languages: German, French, Italian, and English. Okay, then Switzerland cost of living is very high, but their universities are not charging a lot of money. With 800, 1,000 euros, you are good to study in Switzerland. But remember, when you get admissions, you will have to do proof of funds for 1 year, which is approximately 21,000 Swiss franc in a particular bank. The bank must belong to the FINAPS groups. Please check the other videos I did before. Some schools are already open in Switzerland right now as I'm talking to you. So please go get your admissions done. Another country is France. Remember, the main language is French in France. And equally, if you want to apply to France, you also need to consider Campus France. But if you miss out on the Campus France deadline, please apply individually on school website. There are a lot of schools in France. And also understand that if you're looking at business, international relations, France is a good place. But one thing you should know is, if you're not studying in the bigger cities in France, it's going to be a hurdle for you to get a job. Well, it's not just France, but in other places. Put all of this into consideration. Another country you should consider is New Zealand. New Zealand, after New Zealand, you should look at South Korea and Japan. In fact, these are the two countries in Asia I can recommend, South Korea and Japan. Any other one I can't recommend for you to go study. These are good areas, but remember, as a black man, you might never get permanent, maybe not permanent residency, but citizenship is going to be very hard. I mean, like, if you do not go through the process of naturalization or marriage, you may not get it. Now, our last bet here is going to be Ireland. Ireland is a very good country. I applied to Ireland, though I was rejected, but I don't regret moving to the Netherlands. So if you have an opportunity to go to these countries, go there. For Singapore, I would not advise you because Singapore is not a place for students. You might just run away after you just jackpot for like 2 or 3 months. Okay, so please take this into effect. Ask yourself what schools are available. You do some research. What are their tuition? You do research. Then when do I need to pay deposit? You do research. And equally, when is there everything? Do the research, drop the application, and let's meet again. Bye-bye.